Barriers to effective group decision-making. Whether in a professional or educational environment, groups and teams are an inevitable part of the learning and productive process. They enable individuals to interact and collaborate to share ideas and come up with an integrative solution to a task. Groups refer to a collection of members who may interact but do not share similar goals or interdependence. Group processes involve interpersonal, social, and psychological dynamics that arise during human interactions. There are many effective group-making decision processes that permit members to become more efficient and creative. However, despite the positive elements of group work, barriers also exist that can affect the decision-making process. Obstacles such as virtually located teams, groupthink, the common knowledge effect, peer pressure, polarization, and social loafing, the free rider effect, can all inhibit the decision-making process. Yet being aware of these impediments allows groups to take the appropriate strides to overcome them and remain successful. There are many benefits to virtual teams, one being the ability for individuals worldwide to collaborate on the project. However, virtual teams often encounter problems due to the inability to interact or meet on a regular basis. The geographical dispersion, which is an advantage to virtual participation, also presents a huge barrier in the decision-making process. Team members are often located in different areas and time zones, creating difficulty in sharing knowledge as well as coordinating tasks. Since group members are not aware of what is happening in one another's locations, there can be contextual knowledge misunderstandings, as well as an overall lack of experience and expertise in regards to the project's center of focus. Since members most likely do not know each other, there can exist a lack of common ground, which leads to barriers in building trust and mutual understanding. Geographical dispersion also creates shorter time frames to meet with one another, inconvenient scheduling difficulties, and a hindrance in innovation since many times decisions need to be approved by a superior who is typically remotely located away from the group. Virtual teams also have electronic dependence, relying on technology to communicate. This could be through email, teleconferencing, or video conferencing using smartphones or collaborative software such as SharePoint or social media tools and networking platforms. While e-communication is good, it can often lead to misinterpretation or misunderstanding of ideas due to an inability to read nonverbal behavior cues. The dynamic structure of virtual teams also presents a barrier to effective decision-making. Membership roles can often be unstable with frequent member turnover, outsourcing, or subcontracting for particular tasks, and an overall short-term or project-based lifespan. Due to the lack of shared work history and infrequent interactions, there can be a difficulty in building relationships and trust, a reluctance to share knowledge, and an overall conflict and tension. According to Elsbach's text, groupthink is defined as a situation where peer pressure stifles critical thinking and groups move toward consensus. This often generates a shared illusion of group invulnerability. As Janus quoted, groupthink refers to a deterioration of mental efficiency, reality testing, and moral judgment that results from in-group pressures. Groupthink was a phenomenon first recognized by psychologist Irving Janus, who studied decision-making and group dynamics. Additionally, he also collaborated with psychologist Carl Hovland to research theories of attitude and explore areas of psychology relating to persuasion. Janus researched the decision-making processes of different events, which included the Space Shuttle Challenger explosion, the U.S. war in Vietnam, and President JFK's decision of invasion during the Bay of Pigs in Cuba. Janus identified many key elements of groupthink, including how the group develops an illusion of invulnerability, which causes them to be excessively optimistic about the potential outcomes of their actions. Furthermore, group members believe in the inherent accuracy of the group's beliefs or the inherent goodness of the group itself. Such an example can be seen when people make decisions based on patriotism. The group tends to develop negative or stereotyped views of people not in the group. The group also exerts pressure on people who disagree with their decisions. Lastly, the group creates the illusion that everyone agrees with them by censoring dissenting beliefs. Some members of the group take it upon themselves to become mind guards and correct nonconforming beliefs. Some characteristics of groupthink to be aware of include the denial of vulnerability, where group members may not be willing to acknowledge their own fallibility or vulnerability. Next is the rationalization of decisions to minimize objections, the belief in the absolute goodness of the group, an intense dislike of outsiders, including stereotyped or misleading portrayals of outside members as well as those who have left the group. Groupthink also tends to have group protectors, which is the spontaneous emergence of individual members who protect the group from conflicting information and perceived threats. There exists a strong peer pressure among all group members, particularly those who question group decisions, as well as censorship of any disagreements within the group. Finally, there lies the belief that the group is unanimous and cohesive, even when some members object to the behavior of the group. Preventing groupthink can be done a number of ways according to the article Breaking Bad, Stop Deceptive Groupthink. First, a group can start off with being aware of the characteristics of groupthink, the risks, and not to fall into the characteristics. A group needs diversity to break the cohesiveness of similarities as well with gaining an outsider's view of source for help. Moreover, a group needs to be open to ideas and share varying perspectives to help develop critical thinking and break monotony. By encouraging comments that are inquisitive, members can also keep the momentum going. Ultimately, a member of a group should always serve as a role of the devil's advocate to ensure that each member feels responsible for the group's overall actions. The common knowledge effect interferes with good group decision-making. It describes the tendency of group members to share information that is already known by other members of the team rather than sharing information that is unique. In other words, a group member unknowingly holds back information that could contribute and instead shares information that is already known by all members. The common knowledge effect describes the impact on group decision-making of whether knowledge relevant to a decision is shared by all group members prior to the discussion. Specifically, laboratory studies have shown that information known by everyone prior to the discussion has a more powerful influence on decisions than information not shared by anyone. The common knowledge effect demonstrates that an irrelevant factor, the number of members who know a particular piece of information, can affect group decisions. If a piece of unshared information is crucial to making the correct decision, the result may be an incorrect decision. The common knowledge effect can be explained in a number of ways. All other things being equal, common information is more likely to be recalled because more of it is around, as well as more likely to be used. This effect is found across many different group decision situations and is a major inhibitor of effective group decision making. Some ways to reduce this barrier would be to allow members to take notes during meetings and refer to those notes, and more importantly, assign members roles according to their strengths. This encourages meaningful contributions that pertain to each member's knowledge base and expertise, helping to eliminate the same common information to be shared. The polarization effect is a tendency for a group to make riskier or more conservative decisions than individuals working alone. Those in a group setting often go to one extreme or the other, but this, however, depends on the group dynamic. If the group is filled with more individuals who typically make riskier decisions, then the group will sway towards a riskier end result. Now that goes the same for the group that is predominantly filled with individuals who are more cautious in nature. This dynamic will typically sway the whole group to be more conservative with their decisions. The polarization effect is seen to occur from social comparison. Those who believe that their opinions are better than the others in the group are more likely to take the riskier position as they enjoy the attention that this behavior gives them. They are also more likely to become the leader of the group, or at least their focus is to become that figurehead. The conservative group members are more of the team players. They are more likely to take everyone's opinion and deliberate to find the most conservative and effective decision. Peer pressure is a factor that one typically sees with a polarization effect. Group members may encourage others to make the decision that leads to riskier end results. Individuals are more likely to conform to the group opinion when peer pressure is present. This can even occur when the opinion of the group as a whole is wrong. Even when those individuals being pressured know that the decision is wrong, they will still conform to the group's overall opinion. Peer pressure is a very important factor in the decision-making process, as it can sway just one individual or the majority of the group. This is typically done to those who initially disagree and are outnumbered by the majority. The polarization effect has a direct link to peer pressure, as one typically does not occur without the other. According to Ellsback's text, social loafing occurs when only a few members of the group take responsibility for accomplishing the work of the entire group. The free rider effect is when an individual relies on everyone else in the group to do a majority of the work and still gets the same amount of credit as everyone else. How does a team then manage free riders and social loafers? Several different approaches can be taken. Instead of having a grade or comprehensive evaluation for the entire group, individual reports for each team member that is based on team member assessments can be distributed. Furthermore, by having formative peer assessments throughout the project, the person who is not doing their share can have enough time to address and change their behavior to begin making meaningful contributions. Tasks should also be assigned to each team member early on, so each person is aware of their responsibilities and roles within the group. After allocating specific tasks, one of the team members can then make a list of who is responsible for each task to submit along with the final project for assessment. Additionally, intermediate deadlines on tasks should be assigned so everyone can remain cooperative and progress on the same schedule. Finally, do not accept excuses when a group member comes unprepared. If this happens, the group needs to discuss how to proceed as well as give the group member clear instruction and deadlines on what needs to be done. With effective group decision making, the key to overcoming all the various types of barriers and ultimately succeeding at the task at hand is through constant communication and collaboration. When psychological safety is high, each member has the opportunity to voice his or her perspectives and ideas without fear of criticism or rejection. This mutual respect throughout the team is essential to a productive and efficient work environment. Even with virtual teams, figuring out early on the most beneficial communication strategy can prevent certain obstacles and consequently remove the barriers often encountered in group decision making. Without communication, whether in person, online, or over the phone, decisions cannot be cohesively reached. For each group member to experience accomplishment, strides must be taken to ensure equal involvement, contribution, and cooperation. This is the key to team success.